Hello, everybody, and welcome back to me watching Game of Thrones Season 2. We are on episode 3 today, and when we left off on the end of episode 2, you guys got mad at me because I thought that Jon Snow witnessed the White Walkers eating a baby, but then everybody said that I didn't see shit. And I was like, oh, okay. I didn't see anything. I guess I just assumed the White Walker was eating the baby, but I guess that's not right? I don't know. Anyways, I thought the White Walker ate the baby, but that's the last thing we left off on was Jon Snow seeing this White Walker leave with the baby question mark. And then there was a lot of stuff that happened. I've said this already, but I just feel like there's already so many more like open plot lines happening. And something else that someone had mentioned in my last video in the comment section that I had actually commented on this. They said that it's kind of funny that all of these people are worried about who's going to get the throne when winter is still coming and these White Walkers are still out here. And I'm like, that's what I said. I in one of my reacts when I'm doing an overview, I literally said, I was like, everybody's so worried about who's gonna be like king or can you hear my cat? Who's gonna be king or queen or just who's gonna sit in the Iron Throne, and yet there's still like these White Walkers coming to eat everybody, or winter is also coming. And in the beginning of season 1, they literally say that there is no time to I don't even mean time, like somebody I'm abbreviating whatever they said, but I think one of the Lannisters, I think it was Cersei, said that there was just like no way that they could have like a feud right now because they really needed each other to survive this winter. And we lost the strings to that sweater unraveled very, 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 very quickly. So anyways, I'm excited to get into episode 3 today. Sorry, this intro was kind of all over the place. I just got back from the gym and doing a bunch of other work, so I'm a little frazzled right now, but let's get into it. Yeah. I also forgot to mention this in my last episode at the beginning, but I do have a Patreon if you are interested in earlier reacts, like especially like uncut ones that come out. These ones are cut out and edited down and the music's taken out. But if you go on my Patreon, they're like uncut reacts and you get them a bit earlier since they don't need to be edited. I am thinking of also watching House of Dragon because I do want to watch House of Dragon season 3 when it comes out soon. But other than that, if you don't want to join the Patreon, that is absolutely understandable and okay with me. You can always join my Discord community if you ever just want to like chat about reacts or anything like that, or just are interested in joining a community where I stream on Twitch and we all hang out in the Discord. There's always that option as well. Just if you're trying to find a place to settle down, hunker down. I have a really great community and I'm very thankful for them. So just throwing that out there, a little plug for me. But other than that, okay, now we'll get started. So I guess at some point I accidentally muted my microphone when I was trying to adjust it. My index finger pressed this button because look how easy it is. Like it just mutes if you just lightly touch it. So I guess technically there is no react. I'll try to find a way to make it a video worthwhile and at least my review recorded and there's audio for that. So yeah, that sucks. That happened. Okay, hello everybody. I have written down my notes from episode 3 and we're going to get into my overview, my thoughts, I don't know, I guess people don't like my predictions, but so I'll try to do less predictions, but I can't help it. I just really like trying to find out what happens in a show. And if I'm wrong, it's okay. Like I don't mind. I just think it's fun to theorize and think about like how the story could go. But anyways, we'll start with Tyrion because that's who I started with First off, I don't know how I like think of the order of my stuff, but it just randomly pops in my head, and then I feel like it leads me to my next point and my next point and my next point. So anyways, we don't have that much to go through, only these 2 pages and these 2 pages. So anyways, so we see that Tyrion exposes their Maester, through basically telling Peter, Varys, and him 3 kind of like different half-truths, I guess. One being that Marcella would go to Dorne, but he only told the Maester that, and then he went back and told Cersei. And so that's how Tyrion was able to expose kind of like who he could really trust and keep in his circle, which was so smart on his behalf because it worked like immediately. And I didn't really trust that guy anyways. He kind of, I know the Maesters are supposed to remain like neutral ground, neutral territory, but I mean, isn't he supposed to be neutral to whoever like the house of the king is? So like if Joffrey is technically a Lannister, his loyalty is to the Lannisters. And so why would he go against Tyrion? I guess just because, I don't know. Well, I'm sure there is like a reason for that, but I mean, it's one that I just don't know. We also see that Tyrion's lady becomes Sansa's handmaid, which was conjured up by Varys and Tyrion. I guess it was like a good way for them to get her out of Tyrion's room, and so she didn't feel like so stuck in there. But then also it makes me wonder, like, could this be a way that they, I don't want to say check in on Sansa, but I mean, Sansa could potentially be a threat, to a direct threat to Joffrey, which is a direct threat to their king. And because I mean, I don't know, Sansa could just like act out and just like kill him if she wanted to, I guess. But maybe they're kind of seeing if they can use her as like an information siphon, and maybe she'll go back to Tyrion and say like, hey, you know, this is where Sansa's at, and also, by the way, she's planning on murdering the king. And then, so that's kind of my thought process there. I don't really know. I think it was a good idea, but it's so unconvincing because I cannot remember her name, but Tyrion's, I'm just going to say Tyrion's lady, because it's fun to say. She does not make a very convincing handmaid, which I thought was so funny, because Sansa clocked that very quickly. She was like, I don't know what my cats are doing. She was like, have you ever been a handmaid before? I don't know if you have been, but I think Sansa is pretty desperate for some type of allyship, some type of friendship, and they knew that. And so it was just kind of like the perfect storm to offer Sansa a friend, confide in somebody, but also potentially use that information that Sansa confides in to, you know, go back to Tyrion. Let's see. I do not know how to pronounce this girl name. Maricela. Is she meant to marry Theon Greyjoy still? Like, obviously, I don't think they've actually asked Theon yet, or his father, if that is going to be the thing that happens. But so since Tyrion was telling Peter, Varys, and the Maester all different things, was he just like making something up? Because I mean, to me, that would be, I mean, it makes sense to me. If they need ships, they do need ships, to ask the island people, Iron Islands people, for an ally ship and take, you know, have their ships and then sail this together. I mean, that would make sense to me. But then I kind of was like, well, did he just tell everybody just something like slightly different, but it was still mostly true? Because I mean, he does go to Cersei and say like, hey, Maricela is going to be married off. This is the best thing we can do, you know, to get a leg up in this battle, or in this war. And we obviously see that Cersei is super upset that Tyrion has just like struck up this deal without consulting her. And that just kind of goes further into the fact that Cersei is just truly losing her grip. And at first I was like, I don't know, Tyrion might be her only hope. But I mean, as we can see here, Tyrion did not consult her at all. and just is like, okay, bye, child. Though he is right. I don't blame Tyrion at all, honestly. And I think deep down Cersei also knows that it probably it's the best idea, and also it is a way to keep her daughter safe. So it's like, I think Cersei does acknowledge that, and while she may not ever admit that, it does just show she's losing her control. Like, so I do feel bad for her in that way. She used to be, sitting right there on the throne with her husband. Maybe she didn't love her husband, or maybe she had love for him in the fact that Rob Baratheon offered her protection in many ways. But she was never truly like in love with him like the way she is with her brother. That's a fucking crazy sentence to say. But you know what I mean. And now she's just kind of like, each episode, it just seems like she sinks a little lower and lower and lower on the totem pole. So that brought me to start writing about Sansa. Sansa is still set to marry Joffrey. We know that for a fact. But we also see that Robb is in this battle directly with Tywin, and Sansa, that's Sansa's brother. Sansa is in this like middle kind of like tug of war, and she's the rope essentially. And she misses her family. She misses her siblings. They just look at her and expect her to just see her own family, her own flesh and blood as like traitorous, in order to align her loyalty to the Lannisters, which I understand. Like, of course the Lannisters are going to look at her and say, you need to be loyal to us. You're marrying into this family. You're still choosing to be here, by the way, which I think Sansa is obviously like, I think Sansa knows that if she acts out of line, it's her life on the line, and it's not as simple as just leaving. Like, they would absolutely be like, oh, Sansa, you can walk out that door. Just go ahead, right there. And the Hound is waiting on the other side and slits her fucking throat. Like, we all know that would probably be the reality of Sansa trying to leave. And I think Sansa knows that based on all of the cruelty she has seen. Trying to kill Arya, going after Robb, killed her father. Like, it's very evident that her life is on the line. So I think Sansa is trying to find a way. I hope she tries to find a way to have that like rebellious spirit inside of her, or is she just going to kind of lay down and kind of just do whatever the Lannisters say, specifically what Cersei says? I wrote this down as well, but I think since Cersei is kind of losing her control in a lot of ways, I think she sees Sansa and sees like a weakling and somebody that she can control. And so I honestly just feel like Cersei is just going to make Sansa's life a living hell, which kind of worries me. But I also think, I know that Cersei sees herself in Sansa as well. That was Cersei years and years, I think 15 or 7, what did they say? 15 or 17 years ago, when she was given away to marry Robb Baratheon. And now here sits Sansa. It's almost like she's looking at a younger version of herself. And it goes back to like, okay, they could let Sansa free, but they're never going to, and so I think Cersei kind of looks at this younger version of herself, and instead of that maternal instinct kicking in, and Cersei has that part of her that says, you know what, no, we should let Sansa go. Like, she clearly doesn't want to marry Joffrey, because I know she knows she does not want to marry Joffrey. It's literally her situation just repeated. But no, I think Cersei feels immense need to get payback for whatever type of pain she feels. I think she feels better looking at a girl having to go through the same situation, and making her life a living hell. So, and we obviously see that in the fact that when they start talking about Robb Stark, Cersei basically tells what's the word? puts words in Sansa's mouth almost, and is like, you'll basically hate your brother too, right? Because he's a traitor, right? So, that's all I wrote about Sansa and the Cersei situation, and then I moved on to Jon, because obviously that was a very big part of the show, also the opening part of the show. Jon finds out that the Lord Commander did actually know about the baby boy situation, which I knew the babies were being offered up as an offering in some way. As I said in my intro, I'm not really sure. You guys are right. I didn't see the White Walker eat the baby, so no, I don't know if the White Walkers are being like fed children or something like that. To me, it would make sense because I'm like, surely the White Walkers have to feed off of something. I mean, in the opening season 1, episode 1, the first thing we see are like these White Walkers attack a small group of people, and I'm like, okay, do they attack the people and then those people kind of like zombies, they become more White Walkers? So like, are they having, is this the way White Walkers are like building their own army? And so like maybe that's the offering. I don't know, now I'm sitting here thinking, I'm like, okay, at first I was thinking that the White Walkers were eating the babies because I thought that White Walkers feed off of people, and that's the reason they attack people. But I also don't really know how the White Walkers work, so I'm like, okay, it's very possible that maybe the White Walkers just take the babies, turn them into little baby White Walkers, and then raise them as their own. But I also don't know if White Walkers can like age. Like, when you turn into a White Walker, do you just remain the same age that you went into it? Like a vampire, you know, like an Interview with a Vampire, Lestat, and, you know, everybody remains the same age of when they became a vampire. I'm making this so convoluted, but that's where I was thinking. I was like, okay, so maybe it is an offering, and they're like, okay, we'll offer you baby boys. It's either to eat, or we offer you baby boys to grow your White Walker army. I don't know. And I even wrote, and the Lord Commander says that it's wildlings that they're like offering these babies to. And I'm like, it's not the wildlings. I mean, I don't think the wildlings seem like people eaters or like cannibals or anything like that. So I don't really know what the wildlings would do with babies. I can assume what the White Walkers would do with babies, but even that, I don't really know. But he says that this offering, this trade, or whatever agreement they have with whatever is out in these woods and the babies, that it's been keeping the Rangers safe. So obviously they're offering these babies. They're like, hey, just don't attack our men. And I just wrote down, I was like, okay, well, what will Jon do and how can he realistically react? And again, I say realistically because I think and I know that Jon, and the better part of him, would say, you know, F this. I don't want to be a man. Like, I don't want to be on the wall anymore if this is what we're doing to keep ourselves safe. Like, I don't want to be a part of that. But I think Jon knows he can't leave the wall. And I'm almost like, okay, well, overall, I don't think it was wrong for Jon to find out. Like, he hears a crying baby, and this man is taking this baby out into the middle of the woods. Like, of course, Jon's an older brother. He's a big brother of multiple children, or of multiple siblings. You know, his brother instinct is like, oh yeah, I want to know where you're taking these babies. And then he's, you know, he gets everybody punished for him finding out something that he shouldn't have known. Lord Commander is like, yeah, I've been knowing. And I just think that, like, Jon is going to have to accept that this is kind of the balance of survival. Like, oh, this sounds so horrible, but it's like, these are like the babies that are being born, like, they have no life yet. Like they haven't started life yet, and yet there's all of these men who are protecting an entire realm from whatever lies beyond the north, like the wall. So it's a balance. It's like, who do you sacrifice? Do you sacrifice the men protecting an entire realm, or do you sacrifice these babies that kind of can't provide any usefulness yet, which sounds so terrible to say. I swear I'm not like a baby hater or anything like that. I'm just trying to think I'm trying to be in the show's mind. You know what I mean? Like if is this what they're thinking? Which also somebody said, this was so funny to me. Somebody said that I was so male centric, which is so funny because if you guys do not know, I was raised by all women. I have lesbian moms, so I've never been told I was male centric before. That was wild. But if anybody thinks that I don't want women to be like the entire monarch, like if I don't want these women to be in monarchies and like control everything, you're so absolutely wrong. I just know that's like that this is also a show that even though it is a fantasy show, it still follows misogynistic ruling, like, and misogynistic rules. Like fucking Theon Greyjoy is a primo example of that. He literally treats women and talks to women like they are lesser than and cattle. And a lot of people think that way in this show. He, like, what? Only a king, like millions of times they say only a king can sit on the throne. Only a man can sit on the throne. Would I love to see Daenerys bust in there and fucking sit on the Iron Throne? Yes. Would I love to see Sansa sit on the Iron Throne? Sure. Catelyn? Yes. But I just realistically know, because it's a show and I have context clues, I can tell that that's not really the way the show necessarily goes. At least not yet. Would I think it would be cool for things to change? Yeah, I thought it was awesome that we saw Brienne today. And she's a lady fucking knight on the Kingsmen now. I'm like, okay, yes, I love that. I love Brienne. She seems like a badass. She's also extremely freaking tall. I've never seen anybody in my life that tall before. But yeah, that was so crazy to be called male-centric. I've never been called that before. But I did find it very funny. So, and they also didn't explain themselves. So I have to take a lot of things people say in my comment section with a grain of salt. It's literally exhausting to read some of the YouTube comments. Either way. Overall, detour. I do think Jon just has to accept that this is, the cost to survival. And realistically, I don't think there is anything that can be done. Do I think that will stop Jon? No, I don't think so. I think Jon's going to manage to find a way to kind of change the Night's Watch internally to make it better. I think if I was to think of like what's going to happen overall for the men on the wall or like the Night's Watch, I kind of feel like the Night's Watch is going to become badass. I feel like right now the Night's Watch is kind of this thing that you only go and do if you're bored and you're from like a rich family and you're bored, you're a criminal, or you're being sentenced to death and like you just go to the wall. It's like a punishment. But I kind of feel like in the future seasons, manning the wall is going to be an honor, because right now it's not necessarily an honor. It's an honor to Northmen, but everybody else just kind of sees like manning the wall as this negative thing, because it kind of is. And I just really hope that, like, I don't know, if Jon is able to like take over and really flip it inside out to the point where like people are begging to work on the wall. I don't know. Is that crazy to think? Who knows? Anyways, Sam and Gilly. I'm Gilly. Hi. But no, Sam and Gilly, the girl that was trying to get Jon and Sam to protect her potentially baby boy from being given to whatever lurks in the woods. Obviously, we know them as White Walkers. I guess they don't know them as White Walkers. I just wrote that. I hope they get to see each other again. And I know that this is just wishful thinking. So just let a girl me dream. But wouldn't it be so cute if Sam and Gilly could start a family together? Because Sam had such a bad family. His dad was such a jerk. And I know Sam would make such a good father with Gilly. And imagine they got to have like a little family and kids together. It'd be so cute. But I also know that because Sam works on the wall, he's not allowed to have a lady. And he would be killed if he left the wall. So right now, that's just like not a reality. Which brings me back to my point that I hope Jon is able to, like, I don't know, get a I don't know, bring honor to the wall and make it so popular that they're like, yes, Sam, you can go start your life. You never got to have a happy life of your own. And like, I feel like John would want that for Sam. I know he would. Which also brings me to another love, not love connection of Peter and Catelyn. So they were asking Peter to convince Cat to talk to Rob, or like basically convince Rob to call off this battle. Hello, delusional. As if Peter could even change her mind. I'm pretty sure at this point, Catelyn, if the moment she sees Peter, Catelyn would literally take a sword and slice his fucking head off of his body. Like, who wouldn't want to at this point? But also, why would she do that? What would be in it for that? Like, it just makes no sense. I think Peter knows that Catelyn wants nothing to do with him, and I think I don't know, he could be delusional enough to be like, no, I can change her. Baby, there is no changing her mind. So, yeah, I don't know. I don't know if I misunderstood that part, if that's actually what was being asked of Peter to go and ask Catelyn, but I digress. I'm sure you guys have more insight on that than I do, but you don't necessarily have to tell me. I just am wondering if I like understood that particular scene correctly. Moving on to Arya and Gendry, that was like, I don't want to say it was the cherry on top, but that was kind of like the build up scene of everything. They're both in hiding, yet an ambush happens, and in the end, they are caught by the Gold Knights. So, of course, the first thing I asked myself, I was like, wait, how are they going to escape this? Like, there's no way. I don't know. I do think it was very smart of Arya to redirect the child that did die, who that was holding Gendry's helm. I do think it was super smart of her to say that they had killed Gendry and he was lying right there. Now that is on the balance and the hope that everybody doesn't say anything, because I'm sure I know there are other people that know that who Gendry really is, and I don't know, we just have to hope that nobody would say anything. I know there's that other kid that knows that Gendry is the friend that was up, the friend of the little boy that did die by being stabbed in the throat by Needle. I mean, I know Needle has already been used against somebody already, but just like having Arya's own blade by somebody else kill another person. I mean, and I'm pretty sure that kid was also going to tattle on Gendry. I don't know. Like, it could have gone two ways. Either that kid grabbed Gendry's helm because he was going to go and hide it, because he actually didn't want Gendry to get caught, or he grabbed Gendry's helm because he wanted to tell the Gold Knights. But you know, that kid did not use his last dying breath to say that he knew who Gendry was. Instead, he used his last dying breath to complain about his leg and then tell somebody that he needed to be carried. And so, I mean, I guess if that kid really was going to, like, I don't know. I don't think he knew he was going to die in that moment, but I guess if you thought you were maybe going to die or needed reason to make yourself kind of like a weightier reason to keep alive, I would have been like, I know who Gendry is. I have his helm right here. Keep me alive and maybe I will tell you. But yeah, I don't know. Either he was actually trying to protect Gendry or he had ulterior motive. I do feel like it was kind of, in Arya saying that was Gendry, it was just kind of like a little moment of her realizing, or it was maybe not her even realizing, but it was just her kind of hardening that exterior personal shell in a way, like that she's just is gonna have to be a freaking tough as nails and sometimes just really insensitive in order to survive this like really harsh world. But then I also asked myself, okay, now Gendry and Arya are both caught. So what are they gonna do if Arya is found out? What if she goes back to King's Landing and they're like, that little boy is actually Arya. Hello. So I don't know where I picked up saying hello from, but I think it's because I watched Vamps the other day, which has Alicia Silverstone in it, and she is Cher from Clueless, and I'm just got that Valley girl in me a little bit right now. It'll phase out soon. Moving on to the other Baratheon brother, I forget his name, but I guess he has been named king of his small little realm, and his queen knows that he is gay, and yet she knows that they need to produce a child, not only to seem a little more, I don't want to say legitimate because you guys got on to me for using the word legitimate, but I more so just mean like their marriage being legitimate, I guess, in a way, because it's seemingly so that when these prince and princess or whatever become king and queen, they kind of immediately expect you to have a child or an heir to the throne, which makes sense. I mean, based on how often people die in this show, I would probably need about 30 heirs as well, just to make sure somebody survives this damn world in order to sit their ass on some throne, because because they die like left and right constantly. So, and yeah, I didn't really understand the idea of her getting pregnant and like what that would necessarily help. For me, I'm kind of like, okay, well, if they're pregnant, that would just give me more motivation to like potentially kill these people, because it's like Daenerys having a baby. It's like, okay, there's just more of them. That's just more competition for me. Like if I was an enemy, I would just want to kill all of them. Like not me as a person, but like if I was an enemy, I would not want all of them to be alive. So I don't think I also really understood that plan. If you guys could help me understand that a little better, that would be very helpful. And then last but not least, I talk about Theon Greyjoy and that entire situation, which I feel like is a really big kind of like a Theon sitting on the on the fence. Does he want to go back to Robb and the Starks, or does he want to remain with the Greyjoys on the Iron Islands? We see where his allegiance lies. I never liked that guy. Anyways, he really just pissed me off in this episode, if I'm being quite honest with you. Again, I think I started my intro with this, is that I almost feel bad for Greyjoy in so many ways, because I think he is so desperate for a place in this world, because he genuinely has none and nobody freaking wants him. His father sure as hell didn't want him. The few people that accepted him in their lives were the Starks, and look how he treats them. Anyways, so Theon burns his letter that he was going to send to Robb to admit that, hey, my father did not agree. He burns that and then seals his life back to the Iron Islands, which I get it. Listen, he wants to be wanted. His father doesn't really want him. And so I think he's doing anything he can to be like, no, father, look, I am literally just like you. And I need to be loved by you because I'm so desperate for it. I thought that was incredibly unfair to Robb. This person has been in your life for the past 9 years, treated you like one of their own. All of the Starks treated you as one of their own. Robb, I think 3 times in this show so far, has said that you are my brother, you're my family. I should have known that Theon was just going to like cast that aside, because I'm not gonna lie, the people from the Iron Islands honestly seem like narcissists and very egotistical, and then like also very self-conscious in a lot of ways. Like they're very insecure at the exact same time. Well, honestly, a lot of narcissists are very insecure, so actually checks out. And I don't know, it just really, I feel so bad for Robb. He's already lost so much, lost his father, can't have Sansa, doesn't know where Arya is. Jon is at the wall. Honestly, all he really had, I mean, of course there's Bran and the other child, but they're back at Winterfell. And really all he had was his mom and then Theon, and now Theon has just left him high and dry. So, anyways, I mean, that's that. So so for the Maricela part, like, if that proposal comes through to the Greyjoys, would they accept that? I honestly don't even know if the the people of like the Iron Islands or the Greyjoys or Theon's dad would really even be all that interested in that proposal either, because you know, you have the North wanting the ships from the Greyjoys, and then you have the South, or Tyrion wanting the ships from the Greyjoys, and you have the North and the South both trying to get this, like, the ships. But I think Theon's dad is kind of, I could see him being like, no, I don't want either of you, but I would like your throne, so excuse me while I take that from you, or try to take that from you. I like how confident he is in the fact that he can just solo this shit out, and like, just with him and his people and his ships, he's like, yeah, I can take this, I got this. I do kind of feel like he is trying to make up for the time that he did have to bend the knee and work with somebody else despite potentially not wanting to. So obviously he's very old, so maybe this is like a dying wish of his or something like that. But I could also, since the Lannisters potentially kind of have like a leg up just with like allyship because of how much money they have threaded through the entire islands and different parts of the realms. I'm like, I don't know, do the Lannisters hold as much power as I think they do realistically? Because everything is so fragmented at this point, like fractured at this point. I don't know. I'm kind of on the side that Theon's dad is going to be like, no, I don't really want to work with you either. And then they just try to go for it individually. But then overall, that just,
Something wrong with your leg, boy?
I don't know. Now there's going to be this huge rift between Robb and Theon. And I wrote down again that like Robb has already lost so much. And it's just kind of sad that it's like, not only is he losing somebody he literally considered as his brother, just to Theon's insecurities of not being accepted by his dad. But now they are like physically pitted against each other. So I feel like there's going to be this like moment where they come head to head, and Robb and Theon are going to literally face each other off with like swords, and one of them's going to have to die. And that would just, I know that would be hard for, I think it would be hard for Robb. I don't know how hard for Theon it would actually be, because I think Theon felt a lot of jealousy towards Robb, if we're being quite honest. So anyways, those are all of my notes. I hope I didn't leave too much out. I was trying to think back and remember everything that I possibly could, but I did leave for dinner. And I just like was a fresh slate of a mind. But I hope you guys enjoyed episode 3. I hope hopefully episode 4 will be out soon, and I have nothing else to add or say honestly other than I will see you in the next one. Okay.